Hard times build character.
This isn't just a show, this is real life. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
You gotta see it before anyone else can see it.
Every second, every minute, every day.
We train for life. We got you.
And welcome back, everybody. We are here for episode number 2, season 2. It felt real good to get back in the studio, getting back here live and rolling with episode 1 with Ryan Frazier last week as our guest. As you know, we release these episodes on Sunday. So, get up early, get those headphones on, get listening, or take your time throughout the week at whatever moment you please, and keep yourself rolling the Relentless Way. So, as always, here with my longtime friend and partner, Matt Strout. Say what's up to Matt.
What's up, everybody? Very excited to get it going.
So today we're going to introduce something a little different, something cool. We think it's going to be fun. We are going to introduce Q&A, the Relentless Way. We are going to bring some heat on ourselves, bring some question and answers to ourselves. We're going to shoot you to do this throughout season 2, every couple episodes or so, and interject some question and answers from our community. We want to start with today from our team. We want to start with a couple of our select team members that stepped up and asked some questions on video recording, and they are in a file in front of me right on my phone that we have not listened to yet. So we do not know what's coming our way. A lot of fun. The topic today, the episode title is Coaching, Leading, and Helping Others Work Towards Growth Through Human Development. Right? So again, something we really focus on inside the Relentless movement is human development, and coaching and leading are 2 huge things that we do. We preach to our community, to our members, to our clients, to everybody. We think it's important for everyone to have that aspect in their life, right?
100%. I think it's there's a cool approach, and we're excited because we do want to put some heat on ourselves, So I think the unknowingness is exciting. Being able just to kind of take that question and then really just let it come out, let it just come from our hearts, from our minds, and all the different experiences that we've encountered, and kind of just put it out there. So I'm excited for that. We've done a lot of really cool work with, videoing and speaking over the past year and a half, and I think I love it all, but I do love just the open answers. That's one of my favorites, kind of just going through the past and giving that back out, which again, what we're really trying to do is give that out to others and connect, relatability. So I think that, again, is another approach of us just trying to connect with everybody and just keep working to become the next best version of ourselves, like we continue to say. It's
authentic, too. That's what I love about it. Everything we do, Relentless and the Relentless Way, we keep authentic, right? We keep real, we keep true. So without further ado, let's get it going. We have a couple coaches here that sent these videos in. They were selected by our From a Distant producer, Ryan Frazier. So he selected them. Coach Evan did a great job of collecting them. So let's see what we got going on. We're going to start with let's start with Coach Evan. Let's see what he's got, what Goose got going on.
What's up, guys? It's Coach Evan. My question for Matt and Paul today is, what are some tools you guys have used in the past to make yourself better as a coach all around?
Number 1, I think the best tool is just playing the game and the experience. So I don't think that could ever be. There's so many things that just can't be taught or learned besides just feeling and doing. But I do think one of the greatest tools besides that would be reading, educating, going out of the way to listen, feel, and hear people that have already done something similar, whether it be in the same space or not even in the same space, but just have overcome adversity. And I think when you listen to others speak, sometimes along the journey of leadership and coaching others, you get in places where you feel like, what do I do now? Like, where do I go from here? And I think there's a saying we've said throughout the years, even coaches need coaches, right? And I think it's important to find those people to look up to and to learn from. So I think, going out of your way to surround yourself with the right people, and then if you don't have those real hands-on people in your life, to then go out of your way to find them in the world between podcasting, books, YouTubing, and make the time. Like, intentfully make the time in your schedule and in your day, even if it's 10 minutes a day or so, but to pick and choose what you're putting into your mind. So it's not just like on a random go of, watching some TV or possibly scrolling through. Like, it's intentful, sitting down, I'm going to listen, I'm going to learn, I'm going to take this in. And I think what it does in that moment is it just reminds you that you're not the first person to go through some stuff, and that you can get through it. And by just never giving up and applying the lessons acquired, that you will win. And that's it. So
it brings you that clarity. It brings you that confirmation in those moments. I'm with you on that. There's plenty of little tools and little things you can use along the way, and like you mentioned, the reading, the listening, the working out, all these little things. But at the end of the day, it's no matter what you're doing, is putting yourself in that environment or in those moments. Whether it's a phone call to someone that you know is going to give you good information, or a phone call to someone that you know is going to give you what you need to hear too. You know what I mean? Just moments like that. It's just being genuine and truly being open to all those interactions. I'm with you on that 100%. And it's a great question from Coach Evan. Nice and simple to start, but it really opens up the mind on a lot of things, in the way we operate. And it's interesting too, because it's not one of those little tools along the way that's like kind of the cliche tools to go to, right? Read a book, educate yourself.
That is not how I started.
Right, but it is with us the whole time.
Yeah.
It's with us the entire time, from whether you choose to or not, because you're surrounded with influence no matter what you choose to do. So it's just now, like you said, how do you utilize that? Intentfully set it up, schedule it, use those moments to do that. If you know in your place of work there's someone that is at a level that you want to be at or has information to give you, set yourself up to work near them, work next to them, to be involved with them. You know what I mean?
Great point. Don't be afraid to not be the biggest guy or girl in the room. Right. We've learned that along our way, right? Like, we're leaders and we pride ourselves in leaders, but if we had a pick, like, we're going to go to the room where we're like the small fry. Like, we don't need to be the big dog. I want to be in the room where I'm surrounded by the big dogs and I'm listening. I know my place and I'm cool with it, but there's just wisdom everywhere. Like, when you start seeing and feeling different energies, and it feels cool and good, and you feel like you're constantly evolving and learning now because of the like-minded individuals around you. So don't be afraid to step out of that comfort zone and be the less far along person in the room, and be able to listen and learn.
Beautiful. Cool. So that's question number 1, and we're going to keep it rolling. We're going to keep the conversation going, and we are going to go into question number 2. Let's go with Coach Andrea. Let's see what she's got for us. So we're going to play that and show you. Everyone get a little listen.
This is Coach Andrea, and my question for Matt and Paul is, people have so many ideas of what it means to lead someone through their health journey. What approaches do you take to leading your client effectively on their health journey?
I like this one.
There you go.
Before Coach Evan asked us about us actually some coaching tactics and tools that we use specifically, but this is a little more broad, but to the direction of some people that may be listening out there. That whether you are a member of ours, a client of ours, or you're on a journey of your own in the health and fitness world, taking care of yourself. For me, it's getting to know that person and understanding what makes them tick. We refer to it as connecting on a personal level. But the reality is we need to understand what makes them go. We need to understand what drives them. And if this is a moment, where they're ready to rock full speed or not, or we need to just keep the hand out and keep in touch for a moment. So I think it's recognizing what the individual needs the most. All right? And then what they're looking for obviously is important, but truly recognizing what they need the most, and then figuring out how you're going to navigate to getting them to that point, whether it takes, a short period of time, a long period of time, you need to make it into a journey and instill it in them.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty, I'll say my own version of that, but it's pretty much the same thing in a way, right? So it's understanding the individual. I would say, to go a little bit more in depth of the approach I would take mentally is understanding them in this given moment, right? So present tense, where they are today, learning what makes them tick. So understanding where they are today and then tapping into the past a little bit to understand where they are, where they're coming from, their experiences, all these things that led them to this point. Then from there is to tap into now where they want to go. And I think in that moment, being able to explore inside of somebody's own mind and help paint this vision for them. And then together, right, and we take a lot of pride as leaders and coaches inside of this movement, together, not just, if it's Paul or myself, but we have the utmost belief and trust in our team now more than ever, because this is bigger than just one of us. It's the whole thing. It's the facility. It's the aura. It's the whole piece. So what we do is we instill inside of this person that they have so much support now to see this vision, because when you see it now and you paint it out, it's like, whoa. But I think from that point, it's the continued support from the team of letting them know that you can do this. And then from there, it's the simplification. I think human beings need things simplified. So you need to let them see it and understand it, but then not dwell on it because it's too overwhelming. And I think what we've done a really great job of, and we're getting closest to being the best we've ever done, because we understand human beings more than we've ever had, is simplification. And it's simplifying it down to the day and little individual tasks inside of that day, and really just helping them win one day at a time. And that's what we've done our whole journey, is we somehow, some way, been able to see that big vision and never give up on it, but then we've realized that it's all about one day at a time. So simplification.
In the same sentence, what really resonates with me is the longevity factor. Reminding them over and over that in the same meaning, one day at a time means like we're going to take this on. We're taking the full ride. Like this is for life. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a hard thing to do because everyone's not everyone. Most people, when they come in, they're focused on the physical stuff, the stuff that people could see, and change as fast as they can. They just want to come in. They want their body to change. They want to lose the weight, and then they want to move on. But in reality, that's not how it works. In many ways, that's not how it works, because it doesn't happen that fast, and that's not how it works because everything you do and all the steps that you take need to be towards longevity and need to be towards a consistency for time and doing things in a similar way over and over again. It has to be about all those steps, stretching out, showing them, like you said, showing them the future, showing them where they want to get and where they want to be, and make that picture so damn clear in their head that it's easier for them to understand those day-to-day actions that we take. I want to touch on a couple little things that we do in between to kind of answer that question in a more detailed way. So something we've been working on recently, instilling with our team and making it more of a staple of our supervised training program, is something towards a task list. It's something towards creating these tasks for people. It's things that we've done for years, but we want to make it a staple and make it something that's tangible for each individual to use within our movement. I think that's as equally as important, to your point, right? To something that you really painted the clear picture of that it's one day at a time. Because we could also get wrapped up in the future and looking at the longevity of what we're doing and looking at that, hey, it's going to take time. We become too patient, right? We could sit there and say, don't worry, I got time, over and over again. In reality, we're just sitting there spinning in circles saying, I got time. Something like this, so something that we're instilling, is what you and I know have done over the years, and that's why we're instilling it to our team more so to deliver, is creating little things every day, right? Creating, just stay hydrated, time of activity, right? Have a moment, 30 minutes of the day that you're being active. Give gratitude to someone at some point during the day. Do something that helps you grow, whether it's listening to a podcast, read a book, right? They're simple things. Everyone's doing this. Everyone's talking about this, right? But who's actually doing it? Who's holding someone accountable for it? Those little things are important too.
Yeah, and it's a really good... I think what we're trying to do so much or so hard is to shift the perspective at which people perceive why you may do this. And I think if we could just step away from like performance is one thing, right? And that is an avenue of it. But if people could separate from performing in a given, let's say, sport or activity and just shift, like we're creating this movement to be of life is the performance. It's almost like, you know, you think, let's like use an analogy of like a knife in a kitchen, cutting a knife, right? Like if you just keep cutting with this knife, it eventually gets dull and doesn't do its job anymore, right? And it's like, if you just want to cook delicious meals, you still need your knife to be, you want to clean it, right? You want to sharpen it, and so that you can use it, you want to even learn different techniques to keep yourself safe, right? So like, if we could all just look at ourselves as a tool, right, then these things would be much easier. And that's what we're trying to show is like, doesn't it feel amazing when you know that every day you're working, you know for a fact that the tasks inside of your day are pushing you a little closer towards that ultimate goal. And I think that's what we're trying to do so much is simplify it down to show like, you don't got to do a million things a day to get there. You pick 4 to 5 things that you know that have to get done, and if you do those, they're going to get you that little bit. And like you said, it's the longevity now. So if we help them understand that, that's what it is, you know. And I think we've been blessed to see people have given us an opportunity to believe in us and trust us, and it's a lot, you know. That's a lot, and I think we're honored by it, and we're more confident than ever, and want it now more than ever because we've seen what we can do. If we truly get people to believe in themselves first, and then us and our team, that's all we want is people to be so internally happy, right? That's what it is. Like when you're internally happy and you feel good about yourself, and you feel good what you have going on around you, that's it. That's the secret sauce to life, right? So great question. I love that.
Kind of not midway point, but just to throw in there, if you are listening from afar, don't hesitate to visit our website, fill out one of our contact forms, and with a question or with the request to be part of this too, because we are going to be reaching out our Q&A, the Relentless Way, into future episodes with people from the outside. We want that, you know. And if you are a member of ours or you are in our facility, don't hesitate to approach us and say, hey, I would love to put a question in there, because we love to have it. That's what we're going for. We're going to shoot for 4 or 5 members in our next Q&A episode we film to have questions for us. So on to the next one. We're going to go with Coach Drew here. Let's see what he's got for us.
I wanted Matt and Paul to talk about both of the services we provide here at Relentless, that being personal training and supervised training, and how you can synergize the both of them to get the most out of them.
Cool.
All right, Joe.
Cool, I love it. It's a great question. He brings us into the, as we know, it's not planned for him to drive us towards our services. That was a question he came up with. We didn't know about. But let's drive that a little more towards those services in a leadership way, in a coaching way. So how we get how us as coaches and leaders get the most out of people by using both of those.
I think it originally started by us understanding how valuable personal training is, right? So one-on-one coaching. So for that half hour or that hour, when that person from the second they walk in to the second they leave, we have full undivided attention and leadership over them. So making sure that we focus on keeping risk of injury low and results high. Like, that's what we're doing. So when we're with you and watching and cueing you, the facts are that is the best product, right? Like we're there with you, right? So we start seeing these results. Now we say, okay, the reality is being realistic is we want everyone to be a part of this, but at the same time, it's also an investment. It's an investment, right? And that's the reality. So if people can generally invest 1, 2, 3, 4 days a week, possibly, in working with a coach, what are they doing those other days? Right. And that's when we started really thinking, like, how do we close the gap to having these amazing interactions, right? There's 168 hours in the week. We say it all the time. They're dedicating 1, 2, 3, 4 of them to us. Like, that's special. But what about the rest of them now? Right. What are they doing? How do we close the gap and making sure, like we just answered on the last question, that each day they're taking those steps to get a little bit closer? And I think the way that we did that was, in the beginning, we were a small team, and we started affecting more people's lives than we even knew, and all of a sudden we had more people that wanted to be a part of it. So here we are, there's 2 of us, 3 of us, 4 of us, but then we have 50 people that want to be a part, and we're like, all right, what do we do now, right? So that allowed us to start tapping into our brains and closing the gap on not only what are they doing when they're not with us, but like, how about, why don't we just guide and teach and lead them and tell them exactly what they're going to do when they're not with us, and then be high enough mentally to understand each individual that we're putting in place things that are going to push them in the right direction, but at the same time respecting that we are putting one of our coaches in position to guide and lead everybody in the room. Right. So we need to keep intensities a little bit lower. I'm not going to give a movement to you that I know you could probably do if I'm with you because I'm right there, but if I'm not, I should probably go a little bit lower because it's the right thing for me to do as your leader and as you as the person. So I give a little bit less move, but I know you could do it. Now I hold you accountable to completing it. Now all of a sudden I went from you being productive 1, 2, 3, 4 days to 7 days a week now. And now we have that continuous growth.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't have said it better myself. A couple things that Matt just highlighted there is our mission on the service end, meaning like that whole quality over quantity approach, right? Leading into the specifics inside of it, what it does for that individual too, right? So on the front end, the reason why we, as Matt said, created below personal training, supervised training, because we understood that people were going to these bigger box gyms and they were signing up and not going. So they might have been paying a little less of a premium, 25, 30, 40, 50 bucks a month, but they were sitting at home. They weren't going. So your goal is to be active 4, 5, 6 days a week, and they were being active 0, right? Or 1, and they were going, and it was 30 minutes of just walking on a treadmill. Yeah. Which, hey, power to you for making the effort, but the reality is we needed to bring quality back, and it's just not about being quantity and how many numbers and people could be signed up, right? So that went hand in hand with, all right, what's our solution now, right? So as Matt went over, it's to provide a service underneath personal training that people could mix in and it could be affordable, right? Yeah. So we created this beautiful service of supervised training. Is the membership a little more of a premium? Yes. But at the same time, you are getting supervised training in every fashion. Your program is written and it's customized to you. Your moments when you're coming into the facility is supervised by a coach that works the floor for all of the members at all times. And when you're in our small group settings, you are being led and supervised by a coach. So that alone is, I think, where these services mesh and blend. The way Matt covered it is exactly how we like to play it. Now in more detail on how we operate with a client, with a member on it, we utilize that system, right? We utilize someone that trains 2 days a week personally with us, whether it's a boxing session and a weightlifting session. We create their program around that, right? And again, that's what makes them held accountable and what makes these two beautiful services, as Drew said, synergize, right, and come together. So someone that went from only moving their body and bettering themselves for 2 days a week of one-on-one training, now they're adding on another 3 days, 2, 3 days, whatever it may be, supervised with a strong influence by a relentless coach. And that's the name of the game, is getting them surrounded with good, positive, quality people on both ends. The members that are around them and the coaches that are around them.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that throughout our journey. All we've tried to do is that, right? So I think what we want to do is see more people win, right? So what we're willing to do is keep running out into unmarked, unknown territory. I like to call it the jungle, the unmarked, known world, right? But we want to get out there. We want to figure it out. We want to not know, get some stuff in front of us, figure it out together, and then run back to everybody and be like, guys, come up here. It's really good up here. Trust us. You can do this, right? And I think we've done that through connecting with Stephanie Leonetti at Plan Nutrition, right, for nutritional guidance and leadership, as well as us wanting to stay even more connected with our community, which we stepped into unmarked territory with this right here, doing this podcast, right? So now, how do we go above and beyond with staying connected, not only when you are in now the facility, whether you're doing personal or supervised, but even outside in the world. Right. So that has been how we've been able to stack and compound the way that we can influence even to add even more to those two
Right.
services that we're looking to even compound even more to it.
Like you always say, it turns into 7 days a week, 24/7, 365.
That's it,
You know,
yep.
and that's our goal. You know, in the soon to come column, we are focusing on creating, continuing to create and build towards those 7 days being interactive, hands-on service from a coaching and leadership end from our coaches. So there's going to be an availability for you to invest in this full-on 7-day-a-week membership, 24/7 life coach monthly, and then be there for you at all times. You know what I mean? And we're getting there little by little, but that's a beautiful question by Drew. Great question to get our minds going and really highlight the importance, because you could never say it enough.
Yeah.
In our movement, we can never reiterate enough what it means to connect supervised training to personal training, how important that synergy is.
And the last thing I'll say to that is I appreciate the question too, because we don't expect people to understand it, right? So it's our job to make sure that we explain it properly, to let everyone know that supervised training is not, it was a thing that we created through dreaming and visualizing and writing things down. So it's not like you're going to look it up and be like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Like, we need to do a good job of voicing it. That's why I do appreciate that question, because we want people to understand what it is.
Yeah.
You know? So
For sure.
thank you again. Great
Awesome.
questions. Love
Great
it.
question, Drew. Next, we are going to go to Coach Leah. We're going to save the best for last. We're going to save Coach Brian behind the camera over there for question number 5. Coach Leah, what has she got for us?
Guys, what's up? My question for you today, Matt and Paul, is what made you guys want to change the fitness industry and put more of a focus on people's personal growth and emotional development?
Great question.
Very, very good question.
Hey, I'm proud of the squad.
That's a good
Right?
one,
They got a
right?
great
Yeah.
question.
I thought she was gonna be the one to mess with us and like do something funny, and you guys maybe knew about it or something.
I can see that too. That's good.
Change the game, right? What I think we highlighted a little bit in the previous answer, but obviously we're gonna dive deeper into it. Quality over quantity. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we saw that. We also saw, I think, something we don't talk about enough, and we should, is the investment too, right? Like, we also understood like what we needed as youth and as the next generation coming up, 10, 15 years ago, and what we weren't able to afford possibly, you know what I mean? Like, we figured it out on our own, and not everyone's going to do that. We had the drive of being leaders and helping people, and we said, hey, let's go and create. I think that's where supervised training, in reality really started, is the fact that we said we were going to our big box gyms and paying $20 a month, and we were figuring out that there was so many people around us that weren't, and we felt like it was our obligation, if we were going to get into the industry and help people, to create some type of service that was going to bring that general population value. And that's really what we've done so far.
Oh yeah, and I think the question really taps deep, because I think the journey, like the entrepreneurial journey, the relentless journey of everything that you just said, like doing that is what created organically the shift. So the non-stop entrepreneurship is a non-stop game. It's a never-ending battle. It's 24/7. It's 365. It's a living organism. And I think when we got into the movement, we got into it because we were passionate, we were young, we were hungry, and I think when things started getting much more real and we started growing as men in the world and realizing the endeavors that we were taking on, we realized that this was much less physical than we could have ever imagined. And we needed to understand ourselves first, mentally and emotionally as human beings, to be able to handle the challenge that was ahead of us. Like, I don't even know if we knew what was even about to happen and where we were going to have to go, like to where we are today, right? Like, so I think just life, like raw life, brought it out of us in a way, right? So,
and then we started doing what we naturally do and finding solutions, right?
Right.
I think it started with, part of the beginning was being solution-based individuals.
And
with all that, there was all this entrepreneur type mind that we didn't even know we had yet, or with the direction we're heading. And then we said, all right, let's start coming up with solutions for people in this direction with their health and with their wellness and with their life.
And I think throughout our own personal journeys, we've both been, now we know it much more, but I think organically we were turned to. Like, we were turned to in our families for moments of strength and security and comfort and confidence. And what that formulated for us was wanting to be that. Like, when you go through a couple of experiences and you get that call where organically somebody was in a bad place and didn't know what to do and called you, and they give you that feeling, and in the first couple times, deep down you don't even maybe know what to do, but the love for the individual that's calling you makes you say, no, it's okay, we're going to figure this out. And you give them that comfort and that confident feeling that we're going to figure this out. And then by not wanting that person to feel that level of discomfort, you take that on and you go figure it out. And then all of a sudden, like, you realize that you want to be that call. Like, I want nothing more than to be that call for anybody that's listening, anybody. Like, when you feel like you don't know where to go, we want to be that first call. You call any one of us on the team, someone involved in this movement. And I think what that's done over time has allowed us to realize that more people in this world need that. They need help. They need, like you said before, they need solution-based thinking, because the world is full of issues and problems and different things of that nature. So I think it's organically happened, but I think now it's purposefully driven, right?
Sure.
And I think it's a true fact. We know who we are. We want to do that, and now it's just kind of about hybriding all those things together.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So,
and when we brought new coaches onto the team, you know, whether it was over the last couple of years or months or so, it's something we really focus on is making sure that individual, you know, it's built into our questions early on in our initial conversation is like, you know, what give us a little, what's your life about?
Yeah,
you know, what kind of person are you?
Yeah.
Like, that's it, right off the bat. You know, where's your loyalty at? Where's your trust at? Where do people go to you? You know, and 9 times out of 10 with a lot of coaches on our team, their stories are that they are, whether they have all the answers yet or they have solutions and stuff, they're learning, but they're the person that people turn to. You know what I mean? To pick them up and do things, whether it's their siblings, whether it's their parents, you know, whoever it may be. So another great question, Coach. That was Coach Leah. So we're gonna finish strong with Coach Brian, as I promised. That's right. He's behind the camera over there. So Coach Brian coming in here. We give us a little outdoor setting here. I like it.
Hey guys, Coach Brian here. My question to Matt and Paul is, what adversities did you guys face along your individual journeys?
Good one. We didn't plan it, but I'm glad we saved that one for last. That's a good one. That's cool. Adversities. Large, small, medium, right? I'm sure just like many people that are listening, we all go through them, right? That first and foremost, we want to remind everyone that if you're listening or you're watching on YouTube or you're checking out our post that this is a highlight on, we all have gone through adversities in our life. We all will continue to go through adversities in our life. They will come across us every single day, small or big, right? Mm-hmm. Matt says it all the time. He prepares himself. I'll say it like he says it, actually. He prepares himself for battle every day, like he's going to fucking war. King Leonidas, front line, and he's ready. Yeah. He's ready for whatever he expects shit to come across his desk every day. Mm-hmm. And that's the mindset you have to have, because it will, right? It will come across your desk every day. On a small scale, I think it was a blessing, and whether it was intentional or not, I think this comes from my parental figures, from my parents, from my mother and father, from aunts and uncles that I was closer to around me. Just the people that I was surrounded with always challenged me. Again, whether it was intentional or not, a lot of it probably was, but they're the way, the type of people they were, they always put things in front of me, right? So at a young age, whether it was figuring out how to mow the lawn, right? It wasn't like a whole, here, hand it off to you, I'm going to show you how to do it, I'm going to go through the whole thing, you're going to do it with me. It was like, you watch me mow the lawn, now here's the lawnmower. I need you to start mowing the lawn on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, right? Like, as an example, right? But those are the type of people that were around me. It was just, here, go figure it out. And in the moment, as a young kid, any of those things could be small adversity, right?
Yeah.
Because now we see in this day and age where a lot of things have been handed off to people, and even in our time, we see it more now, that people can not handle the smallest things, you know? Yeah. So I think on the topic of the little adversities, that I was blessed to have people around me that put little things in front of me. And I'll think of some examples that Matt's highlighting here, because I think that's important to get perspective.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is perspective. So I think what you're saying right off the jump, and I just want to add to this first, and then I'm actually going to go into what I want to say, but you were raised on how to perceive adversity. That is the one thing we've always connected on our upbringings, our family, when I focus on gratitude every day, one of my staples is I'm grateful for my family, and the two things that I'm most grateful for is the hard work ethic and the love that they've instilled in me. And so when I see adversity, I see something hard, it's not like, oh man, it's just like, all right, what do I do? Like, it's not. So you and I have always connected on that. Like, we're not afraid to work hard. We're not afraid to do whatever it is, right? But I would like to start out by saying this. I love this question, but I want to say this first, is I think where the world has gone today, and where I don't want this to go, is like winning a conversation, or like overcoming, like my adversities are bigger than your adversities, okay? That's not what this should be. What this should be is a way for us all to connect as human beings. But it shouldn't be like, my shit's harder than yours and I can handle more than you. Because the reality is that you shouldn't be trying to overdo anybody else. The reality is you don't know the truest, deepestness, like what the inners are of somebody. You don't know how they can handle something either, right? So like, by you judging on someone else handles an adversity rather than you has nothing to do with anything.
And that's the benefit we get from it.
100%.
And that's the nail on the head. That's the nail on the head to me. That is the benefit that we get from it. The great question. From talking about our adversities isn't like, let's start going back and forth of how sad we are and how sorry we feel for each other. It's, hey, if we could all calmly understand, once you get past that point of understanding that, I think it's as simple as the moments of truly feeling, recognizing, and being put in positions that someone else has it like you do or worse. You know what I mean? So someone else is dealing with similar shit, and okay, now let's all go to work and build ourselves so we can handle these things. So when we do wake up in the morning, and yesterday was a long day, and we felt those adversities, that it's not the woe is me moments. It's like, all right, I'm going to do this different today, and I'm going to wake up and start attacking. Not like, I wish, I hope. There's some of those words that I've tried to cut out of my vocabulary along the way, like the hope, the wishing, like a Jack Johnson song, the hope and wish and wait. I want to cut all that shit out of my vocabulary, because when I hear it and when I hear myself say it sometimes, it's almost like stop, you know what I mean? Like, on the topic of adversity, I know you've been through some shit, and you know and then we have that respect, and now we go attack with that same mindset of like, we could overcome anything we want.
Well, and that's where I was going to bring this, right? So like, Paul and I could sit here for hours and talk war stories. We've been at war. This is war. This is 11 years, 10 years of our life with miniature battles inside of literally stepping into unmarked territory every day of our lives. So like, but where we could settle it all at is, number one is life is hard, period. That's facts, okay? Number two, if you get up every single time you get knocked down and reflect and apply the knowledge acquired, you will get better. Yeah. Facts, right? So like, what Paul just said is where we are today is like, it's not even about what the situation is. It just is what it is, and then we focus on solutions and get over it. Right. So like, we're not dwelling on the individual adversities anymore, and I think that's where we want to bring people's minds to, is like, you get to a certain point where the work that I put in now internally on myself when nobody else is watching allows me to be confident in myself to know that no matter what external situation gets brought to me, I can handle it. And if I get to the point where I don't feel, if I need somebody, I got my people. If I actually get to the point where I'm like, whoa, I'm calling you immediately, bro, I need to take a deep breath. Like, you got to harness me back on track. Like, and we've done that for each other throughout our whole lives. So, but now we're at a point where, like, it's not even really the question anymore. It's more like, yo, here's the deal. What are we doing? Boom. It's just confidence, and we couldn't be more proud of our confidence. So we're not trying to say that, but the only way that we got the confidence was by going through the battles, by not giving up, by getting up, by not knowing but still pushing forward. So I think that's the juice, right? So, like, could we talk about individual adversities? Yeah, we could. I mean, maybe we do a whole day on that.
Yeah, for sure.
And we shoot war stories back and forth, and we laugh and we reminisce, like, because there's plenty. There's more moments than less of us saying, like, holy shit, like, what do we do now, right? So, like, but that's the glory we want to give to everybody else, is that we're still digging, and we're the best we've ever been because we've never given up on it.
The reality of life is this, right? Everyone loses people around them to death, right? Everyone has people around them that suffer from mental, emotional, substance of something in their life, right? Abuse, substance abuse. They have a battle in that way. Everybody has something in their moment in their life that happens to them physically as well, right? Whether it be it's adversity to them, whether it's super traumatic or it's something a little bit minor. To that individual, everyone has something that happens to them physically along their lifespan that comes across their page, right? So we let's all just throw that out there now. This shit happens to everybody at some point in their life, whether it's directly to them, someone close to them that it feels directly to them, right? So now let's just better ourselves and work on growing and dealing with diversity rather than focusing on what those similar stories are and all that. Does it feel good to out and talk about things? Yes.
Oh, of course.
You know, we're not saying that. I think it feels great for people to talk. That's proven, right? Those chemicals to release and talk to, whether it be your therapist, your coach, your friend, your family member, and let that out. It's a beautiful thing. Talk about it, right? But we want to say that it's not about how level the playing field is. It's about that we all know how to deal with adversity. So that's a beautiful question, which got our minds going in that direction. And I think we do owe it to, it would be something fun, you know, whether we have a guest on that episode or just you and I sit here and shoot the shit back and forth about adversity. Maybe we have a couple guests on and we bring some people in that not have been through that shit, because everyone has gone through that stuff, you know. So we bring some people in and we talk about it, you know.
There's a quote I think you told me it a very long time ago, way back in the day, but I've always loved it, and it's one of my strong ones that I keep very near and dear to me. But it's life.
No.
What?
I said, can I guess it? No.
You may be able to, but life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. Right, yeah. So I think if we could put one message to this, it'd be everybody stop worrying so much about the 10 and worry about the 90. Right? Because we're all fixated on the 10, and the reality is in the big picture. Like, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, but nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody's coming to save you or change you. You got to go get it yourself. So you could sit around and wait and dwell and feel sorry and pout, but like that's just where you're going to stay.
For sure.
So there's no coming out, you know. So I think that's what we're trying to do, is just connect people and like-minded and say, hey guys, we all got this. But let's just work through it. Let's focus on ourselves and bettering ourselves so that we can push through. And at that point, you almost like get excited, like, right? Like at this point, like, listen, there are certain things that we just don't push upon anybody for adversities, right? Like that's not what we want. But the little adversities, the little things that we just got to figure it out, bring them on. Let's get it, you know? Like let's go get it together.
Relentless Q&A, the Relentless Way. Beautiful episode. Got some good work in here. Again, it feels good getting our wheels rolling again in episode 2, season 2. Episode 1 was visiting with our longtime member and friend who is out in Florida now from a distance, Ryan Frazier. Before we close things out, I want to do something. This is freaky, man. I've been staring at this thing the whole damn episode, staring at me. I'm waiting for it to ask me a question. Every time I look up, I want to laugh.
Oh my goodness.
But
Here he comes.
this guy's been sitting here the whole episode, right? Whoa. He's been sitting here. Hold his leg there.
Yeah.
So this guy's been sitting here the whole episode I was recording, staring at me, looking all sad and lovey, however you want to perceive it. And I've been answering questions on the spot, and I'm waiting for him to ask me a question. So to close it off, right, the question for all of us is, how are we going to attack our day? How are we going to better ourselves? And how are we going to keep working on becoming the best version of ourselves the relentless way? Right? Matt Strout, Paul Alvier, Relentless Bear here. All day, every day, all right? Go crush your day.
Let's get it, my people. Let's go.